Hi, I'm here with Trish Springsteen. Trish Springsteen will be speaking at the Holistic Business Hub's first birthday party. Her keynote on the 25th of March is about taking 60 seconds of insane courage and 8 mindset lessons. Now, Trish is Australia's leading expert in empowering introverts, a multi-international award-winning speaker mentor, international best-selling author specialising in speaker training. Clients work with Trish because they know she can help them with confidence and self-belief to make speaking really easy. Typically, Trish mentors introverts, authors and advocates, helping them to step up and share their message with those who need to hear it. Trish believes in you until you believe in yourself. Welcome, Trish.
Hi, and I'm delighted to be here.
It's great to have you here. Now, I have a few questions for you, and I'd love to start with the problems that your audience or your clients face before they come to you.
Look, probably the biggest problem I have is they feel overwhelmed of speaking. At some stage, they realise that if they've got a product, a service, a book, an app, online or offline business, they have to speak to let clients find them, to be able to make it easy for them to find them. And that's when they start to get a bit overwhelmed, because a lot of us have a fear of speaking. A lot of them just have maybe been speaking but not know quite how to polish it. So they feel overwhelmed by speaking, they feel overwhelmed by content, and they know they've got to shine, so they come to see me.
Great, you're right. You know, they say that public speaking is one of the top fears, so it's amazing to have somebody who's there, and especially specialising in introverts, because I believe they probably have more. When I say they, it's because I've worked out that I'm an ambivert, so I seem to be able to go from one side to the other, but I find that people who are introverts really do find it quite difficult to break through that fear. Now, you have a solution for them, and I'd love to hear more about what that is.
Well, basically, it comes down to what you mentioned in my bios. I believe in you until you believe in yourself. And the solution for a lot of the fears that people have, either over speaking, over getting out and doing anything new, is that quite often they don't actually believe right there in their heart in what they're doing. They think they're getting there, but unless they have that confidence in themselves and in their message, then it makes it very hard for them to step up and take advantage of opportunities to do new things. So I work with my clients, I mentor them, and we work in finding that belief in yourself. We work in and then adding some strategies and techniques to make it speaking easy. That's basically what we're looking at. And then we also work together to decide in what area and aspect of speaking do you really want to shine. It doesn't necessarily mean speaking from the stage. It could be merely being able to go into network meetings and do a really great introduction. It could be going to conferences and knowing how to start a conversation with someone. It could be how to talk to your client to achieve the outcome that you want, or to do a webinar, to do videos, to do Facebook Live. Any one of those is where speaking comes into it. And then we take it, could be with the media, to be able to handle interviews. So we look at making sure that you have that confidence and self-belief to make that speaking easy, so that when an opportunity comes, you can reach out and grab it.
Ah, that's so refreshing. I love that you said it's not just about speaking in public, because you're right. As a business person, we're constantly faced with the opportunity to deliver our message. And if we can deliver that well, then we're going to have a much greater chance of being able to really achieve the results that we want to achieve. So I'd love to hear about some research or maybe a case study that you have about a client, or, you know, how speaking is able to really have that massive impact on your business growth and really growth as a person in general.
Well, there's a couple of aspects to it. When I'm working with companies and corporations, it's a really well-known pool of statistics that the biggest issue that companies, businesses and organisations have is communication. And it's usually in the top 3 problems that they have. And the issues with that is that miscommunication, whether you're in a big company, whether you're working for a company, whether you've got a small business or a micro business, miscommunication can affect your bottom line in terms of productivity, in terms of money, in terms of credibility, and in terms of time. And of those, credibility is probably the hardest thing to get back if you don't get your communication right. Now, if you've got a new business and you want to, as I said, being able to speak with people, to be able to speak to your clients, to let people see where you are, because if you don't let people find you, your business isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to stagnate. So that comes where credibility is. The more you can get up and share your message, the more you can make it easy for people to shine. You are building like, knowing and trust, and you are being credible. Now, one of the people, that's from a business side, well, we help a lot of people in their business to find out where they want to go in that. I do work a lot with authors, and one of my authors that I had this book, and she'd written this book a while ago, wasn't going anywhere, didn't know what to do with the book. And that's what happens with a lot of the authors that I work with. They spend years, days, hours pulling out their message from their heart, putting it into the pages of the book. And then the book sits on the shelf, it sits in the boxes, they don't know what to do with it. So I work with them to show them how to leverage that book. And we work on how to understanding that the speaking skills, and we take them through a speaking journey, that gives them the confidence and self-belief to then go out there and open up their pages of their book and share it with that. So one of my clients that I worked with, she had the book there sitting. What we did was we worked with her. She relaunched her book, did an absolutely awesome presentation. And since then, she has been getting speaking gigs and speaking about her book, and it has been taking her and growing her expertise immensely. She's more confident on doing videos and Facebook Lives, and it's taken her to writing another book and also to launching a new business offset from where she thought she was going. So those are the sort of people that I work with. The introverts, and I don't like to label people because, you know, we can all be both. I'm actually probably an ambivert as well, and most people can be. It's where your fallback and default is where you go to energize. So for me, when I've had enough of people, I get overwhelmed. I want to be by myself. An extrovert, when they've had enough, they want to go out and meet more people and be recharged. And it's just a matter of knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and knowing how to take that energy and use it. When you're an introvert, use that energy meaningful. As an extrovert, it's knowing how to harness that energy and calm yourself down to be meaningful. So when I'm working with introverts, it's helping them to have that confidence to realize that they have the power. So a couple of introverts that I've been working with now feel much more comfortable about going in and stepping up and saying their network pitch, their network production. They're realizing that introverts make great speakers, and they know that they can go and present and then step back and recharge. So those are some of the people that I've been working with.
That's great, Trish. Now, what I'd really like to know, so you're speaking on 60 seconds of insane courage and, you know, the 8 mindset lessons that you've learned from implementing the 60 seconds of insane courage. I would love to know, what top 3 things will you be covering or sharing with our audience on the day of your keynote?
Thanks. Awesome. Look, I talk about 60 seconds of insane courage because it comes from one of my favorite quotes, which is by Benjamin Mee from the movie We Bought a Zoo. And the quote basically talks about 20 seconds, just have 20 seconds of insane courage and amazing things will come from it. And when I'm working, I realize to myself, when I take going to be doing something, all I do is take 60 seconds of insane courage, take a deep breath in, get up and launch myself. And when I was looking back on all the things that I've done in my life, I realized that out of that 60 seconds of insane courage, I've learned a whole heap of things. Now, the first thing, I guess, is that you need to grab opportunities and you need to be prepared to grab opportunities. So when opportunities come, if you're not prepared, if you don't have put some personal growth in there, and from my perspective, speaking skills, learning how to know the strategies and techniques, then when an opportunity comes, you're not going to be prepared and you're going to miss it. So I've learned that opportunities come, you take a deep breath, you take 60 seconds of insane courage, you say yes, and you know that you know yourself, you know how empowering you are, and you go forward. The second thing that I really think is important is understanding your potential and using it. And we all are born with potential. We all have the potential to do awesome things. But in our life, it sometimes gets buried. And when we don't believe in ourselves, when we don't have that confidence, when we've just been moving along trying to deal with everything, we quite often don't realize our full potential until someone comes along, like they did with me. I had a mentor who came along and just basically shook me and said, "Hey, Trish, you've got stories, you've got a message. You're not living up to your full potential. Why don't you go out there and be who you really need to be and who you want to be?" And that potential is always changing. The more you do in life, the more life experiences, it adds to your potential. So what I'm saying is always be aware and be who you can. Be all that you can be and realize your full potential. And then the third thing, which I think a lot of us forget to do, is we all make mistakes. Things are never going to go right with you. I made the biggest mistake in my business when I first started in the first book that I ever published. And that could have been a thing where I would never write any more books. I would never have done it. I made the biggest mistake in thinking that I had a mindset that I couldn't write. And consequently, for years I didn't write. For years I just avoided it. And in the last 3 years, I've got over that mindset. And I'm now the author, co-author, and contributing author to 14 books. And I love writing. So what I'm saying to you is things don't always go right in your life. You make mistakes. The first business might not work. The second business might not work. The third business might not work. But if you look back on that and say, "Oh, that didn't work. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do this. I won't be doing that," then you're going to stagnate and not be and realize your full potential. If you look back and say, "That didn't work. How can I fix that? What did I learn? What can I take forward?" then you're going to be moving forward in your life and you're going to be realizing your potential. So there are some of the things I'm going to be talking about in my keynote.
Wow, what interesting points. So much to be covered in just 45 minutes. Now, I know. We are going to have some people that are watching this and listening to this, and they might not make it to the 45 minutes, although I hope you all do. But I'd love to hear just one thing that you could share with our listeners or our audience today that they can take away to implement in their life right now and make a bit of a difference.
The one thing I would like you to think about is I'm very much in you believing in yourself and realizing who you are. And I think the thing I'd like you to think about is when you start to hear that little voice that says to you, "I can't do this. I can't get up and speak. My peers aren't going to like what I'm doing. People are going to find out that I don't know everything. My business isn't going forward because I just don't know what, and my competition is going to get into my face." When you hear those little negative voices, what I want you to do is visualize a huge red stop sign. Just visualize that stop sign and say, "Stop. This isn't me. This is my negative voices telling me I can't. I believe in who I am. I have a message. I have an awesome business. I have something that I need to share." Visualize that red stop sign. Stop that spiral down into the negativity, and then replace it with the positive thought that I have a message and I am not going to be selfish. Because if I'm selfish and let my fears, my negative voices stop me from either speaking at a conference, speaking at a network meeting, speaking to a client, doing a video, if I'm selfish and don't do that, then there could be the one person who is waiting to hear a few words or phrases or sentences of what you've got to share. And that, if you stop selfish and you don't get up and do it, they're not going to hear it. So it's not about you. It is always about the person that you could change their life with a message, the words that you want to share. So don't be selfish. It's not about you. And use that big red stop sign to stop that negative voice and replace it with the positive affirmations that you are awesome and you can be all you want to be.
I'm so going to take that on board. Trish, I've never thought about using a red stop sign image to sort of really stop that. I have, practiced reframing thoughts and realizing that this is negative thought, let's reframe it with a positive thought. But the idea of putting that stop sign to really highlight that, oh, hang on, this is a negative thought cycle, let's put a positive one in, is really, really powerful. And thank you so much for sharing that. I will totally be implementing that into my own mental state to be able to empower me to make that decision faster, to stop those voices faster. What a great analogy. Now, people love to know about people. So we know about Trish as, empowering introverts and a speaker trainer and mentor, but I'd love to know more about Trish as a person. So I would love to know, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I love cruising. That is my first option. The reason I love cruising is that I can get onto that boat, unpack my bags, and then just relax for the whole length of the cruise. I don't have to repack and move and change. I can do as much as I like on board and as little. So my favourite cruise that we did was down from Amsterdam to Budapest on the river cruise. That was pretty awesome. So my next thing on my bucket list is to do the river cruise in southern France. So it goes down through all the wineries, and that's where I'm going next.
Wow. It's really interesting you say this. I've just come back from Sydney. I live in Melbourne, but I've just come back from Sydney, and I was doing some training, and where we were was on the rocks. And they have those huge, giant cruise ships, and they sort of dock there. And every day we would come out at lunchtime and I would see one of those massive cruise ships. And I've never really been on a cruise, and I've always wondered what that experience would be like. So it's really refreshing to hear someone's experience and to understand that that is a way that someone chooses to travel. It sounds really good. The idea of unpacking and not having to do anything else and just enjoy yourself sounds really, really good. Now, the other question I have is, I'd love to know, what do you do for yourself to recharge, to return back to source and really reinvigorate yourself to be able to continue to do the great work that you do?
But it's important that we all think about this. There's been a lot that I've been talking to people about in the last few weeks, and listening to other people speak, especially over International Women's Day and International Women's Week. And one of the things that we as women do not do very well is recharge. We do not look after ourselves. And it is extremely important, because we can't give to everybody. We can't make those changes. We can't change the world. We can't reach the people if we are not feeling energized and complete within ourselves. So as an introvert, I like to be by myself when I recharge. So for me, the simplest and easiest thing, and I was sharing this with one of my joint venture partners just recently, is that when I've been really pushing myself, doing a lot of stuff, I will just say one weekend, I thought, that's it, I'm not doing anything this weekend. And what I do is I usually curl up and read about 3 books in one weekend. And they're not business books. When I want to recharge, I go and read science fiction, fantasy, romance, crime, whatever it is. I want a whole nother world where I can just go and be immersed in that. Does it for me, and come out of it, and I'm feeling energized and ready to be a lot more creative. And when I've got a massive one, that's periodically. And then, as I said, I like to cruise and travel. I get away cruising and traveling with my husband as much as we can, maybe once a year, maybe every 2 years. And that's a big recharge.
I love that you say that. I have found that over recent times, I've stopped reading books. I listen to audiobooks, but they're always business books. And I feel like if I'm going to read, I should read something that's going to give me growth, whether on a personal or a professional level. But you're right, reading fantasy is so good, because it just takes you to that whole other world, and you have an opportunity to escape without going anywhere. So that's really, really interesting to think about for, I think, everybody. So that's all my questions. There you have it. We've just had Trish Springsteen, who's Australia's leading expert on empowering introverts, and she's a multinational, international award-winning speaker mentor. Now, Trish will be speaking at the Holistic Business Hub's first birthday party. Her session is on a Monday, the 25th of March. She's on at 4, but she's in a session with 2 other incredible women who are also speaking on, you know, internal, external, personal and business growth, primarily for women. So if you are a woman in business or looking to really empower yourself, make sure that you join us.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.